Good morning, it's Friday. I'm walking over to meet Whitney and Natalie for coffee. We're going on a bike ride today, like an epic bike ride around waterfalls and to see some of the farms in this coffee region. Tomorrow we're doing a coffee tour. I met Whitney and Dylan, her husband, in Medellin a couple of years ago, and they met Natalie also, I think, in Medellin or maybe in Japan. We're all travelers, we're all big travelers, and we're all business owners. And so it's fun to hang out with everybody. I'm excited to be here. This town is really beautiful, but it's also like full of tourists. It's a super popular destination. We've seen so many foreigners here. I don't see that many foreigners in Bogota, but this is clearly a destination for a lot of Americans and Europeans. So I don't know how that affects the town. We'll have to look into it. Jurassic Park, you whole Jurassic Park. Dylan, what do you think? Mountain biking in Salento. Oh, yeah, you're in?
Yeah.
Every weekend, we're out here?
Definitely.
We ride.
I got a bit too keen and fell off and it really hurt.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Hey, we all know I was not into it on the way up.
You looked pretty happy.
I questioned my life choices. I always do this until I do the thing and I'm like, I'm fucking in it. I'm wet.
On the way down, I saw some rock hands going up.
And you know, it's fun. It's fun.
Punk, we're very punk rock about it.
E-Prox or E-Ultima. Nunca!
We did it.
I deserve a treat.
Everything in my body hurts. I have a scratch on the side of my hip. I think my carpal tunnel is back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to work from here on out. I think I have to commit myself to living in the mountains. Well, I watched another short. I made a short about our video. I made a short about our trip yesterday, and then I watched another person's. I was like, I wonder what other people are doing because it's pretty hard to shoot mountain biking. And with the GoPro, it was getting all wet, so the footage isn't that great because it's a little blurry. And I was like, I wonder what other people are doing when it comes to filming this journey. And this one chick made this short. It was like, this is the most dangerous ride in Colombia. Only the brave are prepared. And I was like, okay, this is a bit much. And it had like very dramatic music. But I thought the mountain biking was super fun. But I am this morning feeling like maybe I was too old for it. And I don't know how many more mountain bikes I have in me. And after watching The Pit last night and all these people coming in with injuries, I was like, I'm really glad that it went just this way where I'm feeling a little sore and I don't have my head busted open or my leg degloved. But it's fun. I feel like if you can let go and like trust yourself and trust the bike, mountain biking can be fun. Yeah, when it's cold, like we were wet and it was cold up there and we were wet and it was raining, that's not super fun. But I do think it's type 2 fun. Yeah, I rode my brakes on the way back because I crashed out really bad. And the video footage shows me, it looks like I crashed twice. I don't remember crashing twice, but I definitely hit my head and I scratched my, what happened was, as you'll see in the footage, I was adjusting the GoPro because I ride it on my wrist. And it'll flat, like when you're hitting, rocks and stuff, it'll fly flat against my arm. And I was adjusting it up. And then I came into one of those mud like slides where there's a lot of mud. And then I didn't have my hands on the brakes or off the brakes at the same time. And I just couldn't quite navigate. And so I slid, I smashed my head. And then it looks like I hit my head again, but it could just be the camera because I was like moving my arm all over the place. Is this fun or is it just dangerous? I think it is like, it's very funny because I was like a scared little kid, right? I grew up scared of volcanoes. I grew up scared of wood chips. Like my family has this saying, wood chips won't hurt you, because we used to have wood chip piles and I was like terrified of wood chips. And so as an adult, I'm just like trying to let go of all the things that as a kid I was afraid of. But I'm in Latin America. And as we talked about yesterday, like the rules here are different and people really do trust you to make a judgment call about whether or not it's safe for you. And they don't, like, you are doing things sometimes that are not safe. And so it's hard. It's really hard to gauge because I'm like trying to be adventurous, trying to get out of my shell. But it's like sometimes I'm like putting myself on the edge. I was both talking to them and the blog. I'm like a multitasker. Why are you stepping so far away? Okay, we're having a much more chill day today. We're going to go to a coffee farm and just walk around. We're going to learn about coffee. Dylan says I don't know how to brew coffee, so we're going to find out today. I'm going to learn how hard the craft of coffee is.
Hi, sweetheart.
He's looking for some food.
Yeah, we don't have any food.
Found a hot buñuelo on my way to get a chai. It's our last day in Salento. I don't feel like I did a good job capturing this place. Like, it's stunningly beautiful. You're up in the mountains. There's clouds everywhere. There's palm trees everywhere, but I just can't take a correct photo of it. It's an incredibly beautiful place. It's a really safe and chill town. It's always really fun to hang out with other entrepreneurs on vacation. Like, I find that really fun because we don't really talk that much about work, but like the little bit we do talk about work, we just have a lot in common. This is why I'm really excited for the Legends trip to Guatemala because, you know, we're gonna do a little bit of unconferencing. There's gonna be a little bit of business like conversation, but mostly it's gonna be kind of informal. And I think people will naturally like talk about what they're up to and talk about what they're interested in and talk about their projects. And I just think that's like a much more relaxed, interesting setting to do that than a conference. I was talking about this with Tarzan K. I'm really sick of conferences too. At this point, I don't really want to sit and like have people talk at me for several hours. Like, I don't find that engaging. Not that many people are good speakers. And like the problems in my business aren't just like known by someone who has nothing to do with it. Like, I don't know, I just don't, like in my early career I thought it was interesting. I no longer think it's that interesting. I'm looking for like discussion-based things. I want to connect with people one-on-one or in small groups and have like topic-based discussions where we all share. That's what's been fun about this trip, and I think that's what's going to be really fun about Guatemala. We're going to go get breakfast, and then I'm going to get on the bus back to Armenia, and I'm headed back to Bogota this afternoon. Audio's probably bad. I'm not plugging in my headphones. I made it to the bus stop in Salento. It's just this little gathering of buses. From there, I need to go to Armenia terminal, and then I'm going to switch and take an airport transfer to the Armenia airport, and then I'm flying back to Bogota. It's 12:30. My flight is at 3:30. We'll see if we make it. We made it. It's 2 o'clock. We boarded 2:30. So when I got back from this trip, I read a little bit about the gentrification affecting Salento, because there's just no way, with how small this town is and how many foreigners there are. We saw people from the UK, we saw people from Australia, tons of white people, a lot of English being spoken, which, as I mentioned in the video, I don't even see in Bogota. Like, it exists here, but Bogota is primarily Colombians speaking Spanish and international. It has a much more international feel. It's an urban environment, so it's quite different from Salento, but I was just shocked at how many foreigners there were, especially because to get to Salento, you have to go to a regional airport. So you have to fly into a major city in Colombia, and then you have to fly to another regional airport, and then you have to drive. So it's kind of in the middle of the country. Like, it's not necessarily a place that's easy to get to if you're coming from Ireland, let's say. Even from the US, like, it was easy for us to get to because we're all currently living in Colombia. One of the first things I found was an academic paper from 2024 from 2 students from the University of Warsaw, and they talked about the changing landscape, the original history of Salento as a farming town, and how that's changed with tourism. And I think what's maybe specific to Salento, or a little bit different from Mexico City and Medellin, is that it's not so much long stay residents. In Medellin and Mexico City, you have people moving there. It's tourists. It's people that are coming in just for the weekend, just for a few days. Salento's really small, and I would say it's too small for a lot of us to live in. It just doesn't have a lot of infrastructure. But this paper points out that they've been developing a lot of tourism infrastructure, and that's changed things like the main city square, the main town square, and what kinds of restaurants or things are available there, where it used to be a center of trade for the farming region. Now it is for tourists to enjoy. I also read this article in La Cia from an academic here in Bogota who writes about tourism and specifically wrote a book about a tourist region in Bogota. She talks about how the government really hasn't laid the foundation for tourism. In the boom of tourism, they're not ready for it here. So she compares it to Cancun, which she says the Mexican government planned for intentionally, and that Colombia hasn't necessarily laid that same foundation. I think Colombia's tourism has popped off in a way that was unexpected even for the country. It's happening pretty fast here. One of the things she talks about in reference to Usaquén, which is a neighborhood here in Bogota, is the touristification of things, the way that we look at things differently. Things are here for the tourist gaze versus locals and for practicality. I find this really interesting. Salento, it's hard for me to gauge because we just went there, so I don't know what it was like before. It definitely feels like it's catered to tourists. The whole main strip is just a bunch of tourist shops selling souvenirs. There's people out in the streets trying to get you into their restaurants. Like, it definitely feels like a town that has been overrun by tourism, and I'd be really curious to see what it was like before. Now, there's lots of other towns in the coffee region. We chose that area, but there's lots of other places to stay. And if you are going to go there, I would encourage you to do more research than I did and see if you can find a town that hasn't been as much affected by this. Maybe like a slightly lesser known town. There's buses. I took the bus out there. There's buses that go to all these towns. So they're all pretty easy to get to once you're already in the region. And I think we have a responsibility to spread the tourism around a bit. So I'll just leave you with that in case you're thinking about doing this trip. I highly recommend it. It was really beautiful. Colombia is an incredibly beautiful country, but I think we have to be conscious of how we travel, and especially here, this country's in a really fragile moment. We want to make sure that we protect the locals and that we're not displacing people and rising costs on them. And so anyway, this is why I don't make travel content. We'll see how many more vlogs I have in me about this, but until next time, I'll see you out there on our wild and crazy internet.